life as a teenager. What might be more interesting to me is that the first real affection Marc Dutroux has experienced is when, at the age of 15, he goes to school in Charleroi and he meets an old pedophile there. And this is the first... He denies it because Dutroux is a macho after all, but it's absolutely clear that at the age of 14, 15, Marc Dutroux is a boy prostitute. These are the visions in which he gets an adult. Sex is commercial.
As a young adult, Dutroux would hang out at the local ice skating rinks, where he found he had easy access to young girls. The manager of the Charleroi ice rink received complaints that Dutroux was tripping them up so he could touch them. It was here that he met his wife, Michelle Martin. In 1985, 3 years after they met, Dutroux and Martin were arrested by police. Dutroux was found guilty of the abduction and rape of 5 women. Michelle Martin was also sent to prison for her role in the crimes.
Michelle Martin is always presented as a weak woman, totally under influence of the monster Marc Dutroux. If you look to the facts of 1985, that's the first series of kidnappings, you can see that Michelle Martin, at least 2 occasions, drives the car while Dutroux grabs a girl in the street. It's she who goes to the shop to rent the camera, to produce pedophile material, while Dutroux is raping the girl.
Dutroux was released from prison in 1992, after serving just 6 years of his 13-year sentence. Immediately, he started on an elaborate plan that would enable him to continue kidnapping young girls, but this time without being caught. He began constructing an underground cell in the basement of one of his houses, in Marchienne-d'Auchery. Informant Claude Thiroux tipped off the gendarmes. When they visited Dutroux and questioned him, he told them that he was simply renovating his basement. Dutroux abandoned Marchienne-d'Auchery and began to build another cell, this time beneath his main home in Marcinelle. By the summer of 1995, when Julie and Melissa went missing from Liège, Dutroux' cell was complete.
A few weeks after the disappearing of Julie and Melissa, they know everything about Marc Dutroux, everything they need to know. They know about his trial in 1989. They have 4 people who have informed the police spontaneously to say that Marc Dutroux asked them to help kidnap girls. They know he has this stupid idea about cages, putting kids in there. If you need to know where Julie and Melissa are, the police has all the answers. They have the whole file. The question remains, why didn't they arrest him?
Instead of arresting Dutroux, the gendarmes started a secret surveillance operation on his house in Marcinelle, codenamed Othello. In charge was gendarme René Michaud.
René Michaud was the man in charge. He monopolized all the information that came in about Dutroux in the second half of 1995. It's all going to René Michaud. And he puts it in his bag and he says, "This is my secret operation. I keep my information here."
Under Operation Othello, the gendarmes watched the house for 5 months, but for some reason made no further moves on Dutroux. Then, on December the 6th, he was arrested by the local police for car theft and placed in custody. The gendarmes, hearing that the police were planning to search the house, became alarmed.
La gendarmerie, Monsieur Michaud.
The gendarme, Monsieur Michaud, hurried to the examining magistrate, stepped into the room and said, "Don't send an ordinary police commissioner, send me, Michaud, because I know Dutroux, and I've had him under surveillance for some time." So, they didn't send a police commissioner, they sent Michaud.
René Michaud and a team of gendarmes searched the house. they discovered a stash of video cassettes. Michaud later watches them and determines that 2 of the cassettes are of no use to their investigation.
René Michaud put some kind of symbol on it, and it meant not important, don't look at it. These were the 2 most crucial cassettes.
4 years later, the 2 videos would be discovered and watched by another police department. One of them showed Marc Dutroux constructing a ventilation system to his underground cell. The other one showed Dutroux raping a girl on a trip to Slovakia, and other images of a group of young gypsy children, undressed below the waist. Michaud had also missed a 3rd cassette, a recording of the parents' appeal on Julie and Melissa's disappearance. Michaud and a locksmith then went into the cellar that connected to the hidden cell.
He went downstairs into the cellar, alone with the locksmith who'd opened the door, where the gendarmerie suspected Julie and Melissa were, in a hidden cell, because Dutroux was a man who abducts girls and has a reputation for having a hiding place in his cellar. Well, he went down alone with the locksmith into the cellar.
In the cellar, they discovered chains, vaginal cream, a gynecological speculum.
René Michaud is supposed to be looking for a hidden cage. He hears the whisper of voices of children. There's a guy next to him who's helping him. He hears these voices too, and he says, "Strange, we have children's voices here." The reaction of René Michaud, he shouts, "Silence!" And of course, there's no whispering anymore. And they leave.
The locksmith was questioned, and the locksmith said, "I heard the voices so well that I said to Michaud, I'm not leaving here before we've stripped the place. Those voices are in the house." And Michaud responded on the 13th of December in the cellar, "Who's the gendarmerie officer here, you or me?" Then I went home, I told my wife, and I kept my mouth shut.
Operation Othello was called off. Michaud reported to his superiors that they had found nothing and that Dutroux was free from suspicion.
The question is this all go back to competition between 2 police forces? We have one player in the team who is standing before an empty goal, having 20 occasions to put the ball in the goal, but for some strange reasons he always hits left, right, over, but he never does what a normal policeman should have done.
René Michaud would later say that he believed the children's voices had been coming from the street outside. In fact, they belonged to Julie and Melissa. March 1996. Marc Dutroux is freed from prison, having served 4 months for car theft. He is also free from suspicion of the kidnap of 4 girls the previous summer, as the gendarmerie had called off their secret surveillance of his house in Marcinelle, Operation Othello.
Dutroux in prison must have been saying to himself, the gendarmerie, they really are good, because he knew through his wife that the house had been searched, and he knew through his wife that Michaud had gone into the cellar, and he knew through his wife that Michaud had come back up without having seen anything.
On the 9th of August, Dutroux and an associate, heroin addict Michel Lelièvre, drove 80 miles to the town of Bétry. In search of young girls, they hung around the local swimming pool. 14-year-old Laetitia Delhez appeared. She didn't return home, but Dutroux's luck was about to run out.
When Laetitia disappears, It happens in Dutroux, a very small district, where you had a terrific judge, juge d'instruction, Marc. You have a public attorney, Michel Bourlet, who's very touched emotionally about what he saw on television, about these parents. This is a guy who believes in law and believes in the system. When the phone call comes, a girl has disappeared. This is like a war situation in Le Château.
Our goal is to move quickly, to gather as much evidence as possible so we can find the person alive. Because it's only when our investigation is well underway that we can know whether it's a kidnapping, a disappearance, an abduction.
Within 3 days, the investigators had found a witness who had seen a suspicious white van in the area, and another who could recall part of its number plate.
It was a routine for the police to put this combination in the computer. They see Marc Dutroux convicted for kidnapping 5 girls in 1989. That's how they have found Marc Dutroux.
Dutroux was arrested for the kidnap of Laetitia. Also arrested were Michel Martin and Michel Lelièvre. But it would be another 3 days of interrogation before the police knew what they were dealing with.
Dutroux and Lelièvre were being held and questioned, and Lelièvre was in need of a fix, and Lelièvre at some point cracked, and it all came out.
The interrogators confronted Dutroux with Lelièvre's confession that they knew now where Laetitia was. But Dutroux delivered an even bigger surprise. He confessed that 2 months earlier, in the small town of Caen near Tournai, he had kidnapped another girl, 12-year-old Sabine Dardenne. He and Lelièvre had driven her back to the house in Marcinelle, where she was smuggled inside in a trunk and then held captive in the underground cell.
During the interrogation, well, Marc Dutroux said, "It's not one girl I'm going to give you, but 2. And he pointed to a photo behind me, and it was Sabine's photo. I turned round and I said to him, "That's Sabine." And he said to me, "Yes."
They didn't know about Sabine Dardenne. They didn't know anything about this. It was a complete surprise to find a second girl.
The police took Dutroux back to the house in Marcinelle. They needed him to show them the hiding place where they would find Laetitia and Sabine.
We were faced with something unbelievable. It's the first time I can remember discovering anything like that. And so, for a police officer, freeing 2 girls is something... There are no words to describe it.
C'est indescriptible.
The nation rejoiced as Sabine and Laetitia were returned home. But within days, the horror of what they had had to suffer began to surface. Details of the basement cell where they'd been held prisoner were revealed to the outside world.